Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome. I have several new subscribers, and thank you so much for joining me and subscribing to my channel. If you've been with me for a while, you know I appreciate you guys, and I wouldn't be doing this without you guys, and I'm very appreciative of each and every one of you. So today I'm going to be doing the hashtag ABC April 2025, which is hosted by Margaret at 7 Plaza and Tony at Crafty by Tony. You can get the daily calendar and also a suggested prompt list on both of their Ko-fi sites. And today we're doing the letter I. So once again, I've made my little list of I's. And I'm going to briefly go through those, and then we're going to make a make for today. So the first thing that came to mind when I was trying to think of eyes, of course, is inks. And so I use Tim Holtz Distress Oxides and the inks. I also use archival inks for the most part. I do have a little bit of VersaFine Clear, but I don't use that near as much as I use the archival inks. As far as Tim Holtz Distress Oxides and the inks, I have all of the oxides in the bigger size, and I have all of the inks in the little bitty size. I find that suits my needs better. You, of course, can, make your own decisions about that kind of thing. But I find that I don't use the Distress inks near as much as I use the oxides. So that's why I chose to go this way. I kind of collected them all a little bit at a time as my budget allowed until I got them all. I do store my little ones in these little tins, which are by Ranger, that are made for the little ones, and I have them by color. A couple of the colors I have combined, for example, the smaller collections like yellow and orange, purple and pink, they will all fit into one because he doesn't have as many colors, that would fill up a tin. So this is how I store those. And the archival inks, the browns and grays and blacks, I have in big pads. Excuse my reach if that showed in the camera. The other colors of the Distress Archival inks I have in this size, and I keep them, again, in a tin. I don't tend to use the colored archival inks as much as I do the big ones, and so that's why I have the big pads for stamping and things like that, like this size. And that's, like I said, blues, grays, blacks. And I just got that all over me, pulling that string out of there. Okay, next word is illustration. We all use illustrations in our journal. to me, an illustration is something that is drawn versus the next word, which is image, which I consider an image a photograph. So here's an example in my journal of a layout that has both. This to me is an illustration, where this to me is an image. So both of those look great in your journal. I use a lot of old photographs, probably more than I use images actually. But yeah, they both look great. The next thing I wrote down was invoices, and those can be in many forms. You can get digitals, readily available on Etsy. These are all digitals, and you can get them in different languages. These are German. You can get them in French. You can get them original, or copies of originals that are in English. I think they're just really cool to include because they have the great graphics from the letterhead, you know, of the company, plus the numbers. You get some old typewriting, you get some that are handwritten, with just beautiful handwriting. And this is an original freight bill. This is an original that's been typed. If you get originals, the paper's really cool. If you're using digitals, I have found that I like to print them on newsprint because they feel really neat. They're lighter. Oh, this one's on regular copy paper. I know I had one here somewhere that is, I thought I had it in my stack here. That was newsprint. You can tell by the color. What did I do with it? I've got them in this journal. I know that I'm working on. That one's an original. Here. This is printed on newsprint. You can see it's really light. And they age up really well. So this one I printed on my printer and just inked it. And you can see that it now looks, you know, pretty vintage. So that is that. And ID cards. I am not making an ID card today, although I do love to make ID cards. But I feel like that everybody that is doing this challenge today is probably going to do an ID card. So I'm trying to do something different. And the last thing, actually the second to last thing, is index cards. Index cards make great bases. You can get them in several different colors. Usually there's two sizes, a 4x6 and a 3x5. This is one that was used in a library card catalog. So it is an original. You can get them with graph lines on them. You can get them in colors. And you can get them like this, which is a 4x6, that has a ledger. This one in particular is for payroll. And we're going to be working with one of these today. And I will show you the last thing is interactive. This is my personal journal. Interactive is anything that you put in your journal that causes you to go beyond just writing in your journal. For example, all these little pull-out pictures and things like this are interactive. So you can see this particular make has several interactive elements to it. It has cards back here. There's all kinds of little tags. On this side, this flips out. There's a image in here. There's also an invoice. This one is an original invoice. And so anything that you put in your journal, insert is another I word. So these could be considered inserts into your journal. So yeah, this is a really good spread to show a lot of the I words. And for those of you that did not see me make this in my own personal journal, this is my mom and dad here. So, and as I explained when I was making this layout, I am very fond of this famous picture from the war because it reminds me of my mom and dad. I have a huge poster of this hanging up on my wall, framed poster hanging up on my wall. So yeah, now we will get started with what I'm going to make today. Oh, I forgot this one. This is an invoice that I found when I went to Maine this past spring, and it was in the envelope, and it's an actual utilities bill, electric bill for a whole $1 from 1922, February 24th, 1922 through March 28th of 1923. What about that? And it costs $1. So, yeah, look for them in antique shops. If it's a single-owned shop, most of them have a ephemera area where they keep postcards, magazines, old paperwork and stuff like that. You can usually pick them up really inexpensively. A lot of times they'll have a bundle of things that they've gotten from an estate sale or a closed business or something like that, and they bundle them together and sell it, you know, as a plastic bag full of stuff or whatever. So yeah, look there. If it's a place that has different vendors, there are usually vendors that specialize in ephemera, and you can find those booths and find all kinds of cool stuff, old report cards, like I said, lots of invoices, old photos, tons of stuff that you can use in journals that make them really interesting. Alrighty, so let's get started on our today's make, which I am going to make for my 1930s journal. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little blank index card here. Oh, I almost forgot the most important I of all when it comes to junk journaling: imagination. Use your imagination when you're coming up with your theme, or you're sitting around thinking, what do I like? You know, what part in history do I like? What subjects do I like? What books have I read that inspire me? You know, there's so many things that you can think about that come to mind. Write those down. And when you go to try to decide what you're going to make your next journal from, think about what, you know, refer back to that list and see what kind of things you wrote down and choose one of those for your journal. You'd be surprised at how much, once you have picked a theme, how much easier it is to create a journal and put your thoughts down and end up making something really cool. It doesn't have to be a story like I do. A lot of times, you know, I have a story in my mind, or I've created a story in my mind for a particular journal. It can be just, oh, you know, I really love birds, or I really love butterflies, flowers. I love to read. You could have a journal based on books, you know, anything like that. So what I've done here is I've taken 3 different kinds of distress oxide: antique linen, vintage photo, and walnut stain. I'm sorry. And I'm going to just smush it around on this index card just to get some color onto the card, because it is too new and white and pristine. And so we're just going to smush it around on both sides, because I'm going to leave one side for writing, and the other side we're going to decorate, but I need it to look more vintage. So I'm just soaking all that up, and then I'm going to take my heat gun and dry it. And I'm sure all of you all that have been journaling for a while are familiar with this method. But if you're new to journaling and you're not, then that's why I wanted to go through this particular process. So that, like I said, this is just going to add some color. Now this particular index card was on a metal ring, and it was, you know, so students can write down their notes and flip through them on this ring and study for test, or, you know, whatever they're doing. And so they're not particularly thick. Some of the others that I showed you samples of are thicker than this one is. But this one is going to suffice for what we're doing today, I think. And like I said, the hole was already at the top because it had the big metal ring. Now, if you don't like inks, don't use inks. I mean, there's no requirement for junk journaling saying that you have to use ink. If you don't have the distress oxides or the distress inks, then maybe your ink of preference is like alcohol pens or magic markers or you know, something like that. You can use that as well. I've seen a lot of people also use like India inks, which you can use. You can get those at drugstores. I don't have any of those. But I know Barbara at 49 Dragonflies has some inks that she uses that have like a little stopper so she can, you know, drop inks on her makes. Don't worry that your paper is going to wrinkle up like mine is here, because paper has no memory and you can flatten it back out. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can either just bend it with your hand, you can leave it under your glass mat, you can put it under a book, you can iron it, you can run it back through your Big Shot machine if you have a Big Shot machine. But usually I find that if you just take your bone folder and you go over it, by the time that you get all your embellishments on here, it'll flatten back out just fine. And if it doesn't flatten all the way out, like I said, once you get your make done, you can always put it under your mat or under some heavy books and it will flatten. Alright, so now we have some aging on there. So that it doesn't look as new. So now we can start to embellish. And I have this little piece of digital here that I'm going to put right on this side. And this is by Amy at Crafty Cat. And I think it's in her, she has a digital that is kind of like patriotic fabrics. I don't remember exactly what the name of the kit is. Nope, it's not here. I was trying to think if I could think of it, but nope. It's not going to come to mind. So I'm going to ink around that with my walnut stain. I'm not going to worry about this edge because we're going to glue it down, and I'm going to eventually ink around the whole index card. So right now we're just going to do what I'm going to glue down and won't be able to reach. Sorry about my voice today, guys. It's allergy season. I'm trying to get through it. I feel fine. It's allergies. That's all I can say. It's raining today. So hopefully it'll wash some of it away, some of the pollen. Okay, so that gives us a nice little grungy background. And I'm going to trim around the edge where I went over here. Fix my little missed corner down here. And then I'm going to ink around the whole thing. Okay, you see we're already getting flatter. Let me take a drink of my drink and see if I can get that frog out of my throat. All right. So, next, I've got several pieces of ephemera that I'm going to put in here. We need to grunge them all up with inks. And again, if you don't like inking, don't do it. If you prefer that cleaner look, that's perfectly okay and acceptable. It's all what you like. I like the grunge and the way that it makes it look more vintage, but not everybody likes that. And there are no rules in junk journaling other than you're doing things that make you happy. That's the only rule. Now I have an Etsy shop and I sell journals and ephemera, but I only make what makes me happy. So when I have items that are in my shop, it's something that I've enjoyed making. It's not something that I feel like that I need to make because that's what's going to, excuse me, appeal to the masses. I've made what makes me happy. Now, I may have had a different outlook about that if I was doing it to make a living, but I'm not. You know, I do it for fun. The items in my shop that I sell because these antennas are coming off. Sorry, squirrel. So I'm going to just take them off. I sell mainly so I can buy more stuff, to make more stuff. That way I'm funding my own craft habits, I guess. Alright, so we're going to put this lovely image, which is from Joey at Joey the Card Maker. And then we're going to make a little collage down here at the bottom using all these Tim Holtz pieces and a little banner that I cut from, or punched out from my banner punch. So I'm going to glue this on the bottom here. Get my art glitter glue out. I haven't had it out today, so it's not going to play nice. Are we surprised? No. And I'm just going to make like a little cluster. So I'm going to put this on the bottom of here. And then I'm going to put this next size on here. And then I'm going to put this next size on here. Just like that. And then we're going to put that on here. But I need to figure out where I'm going to put the stamp. I want to move her up a little bit. Then I've got this little airmail. Okay, so let me glue the stamp on there. So it needs to be about at her shoulder. And then this needs to be about right there. Okay, now let's put glue. Here, I'm going to hold this up toward me a little bit so I can see where I'm putting it and make sure I'm doing it straight. And then put our little airmail on here, and butterfly, because as Louisa Heinzel says, a butterfly makes everything better, or it fixes everything. Actually, I think that's what she says. Speaking of, I don't know if you guys have been watching her videos while she's working on this Tattered Bunny journal. Oh my gosh, that woman is so talented. She starts working on something for that journal, and my first thought is, what the heck is she thinking? And then she ends up creating the most fabulous page layouts with ideas that I would never in a million years come up with, and they look wonderful, and they're just crazy. So I don't know, I guess maybe I'm crazy too, but I just love to watch her work and her thought process. And what she has in her little artsy mind is just fabulous. Okay, so now we're going to put this on here, and we've got a cool little journal card made out of an index card that can be written on the back side, and it's nice and grungy. I do need to ink this side around the edges. I didn't do this side. So now we're going to make our interactive part. Cute. Okay, so for the interactive part, I want to use, I've got a couple of pieces. I've got an invoice for one, which was actually the one I was looking for earlier and couldn't find. And again, this is a digital, and it's just printed on the newsprint, so you can hear it. It has a nice feel, soft, crinkly, everything you love. I've got some airmail letterhead, again, nice and crinkly. This is actually 2 sheets that I'm going to put in here for extra journaling space. And I've kind of folded it so that it would theoretically fit in this vintage airmail envelope. The envelope had a little rip, so I put a piece of sellotape on there. And we're going to work with that. And then I have these 2 sheets that are from the correspondence, Tim Holtz correspondence papers. So what I want to do is I want to make a pocket out of this piece that looks like a love letter. I don't know if this is something that he found and had it made into paper, if they typed it, I don't know. But I think it's really cool. Starts out, hello, sweetheart. This is actually during World War II, which is later than the period I'm doing. But I'm going to be cutting it down, so you're not going to be able to see that date anyway. So if I take my journal, and I think I want to put it, I don't know where I want to put it at the ooh, I folded up I crinkled up my envelope. But I have several pages in here that have double, I'm trying to find one, double blank pages, and I don't like that when I'm doing a journal. Like this one. So it will go on something like this, so I need something that has some color. So if I were, for example, going to put it on this page, then I would need my Tucker pocket. Do I want it on this side? I do. To not go all the way to here. So I am going to mark this and cut it about right there to get my pocket. I hope I'm making sense, guys. And then I'll save this, of course, because it's gold. It's Tim Holtz paper. Come on. And then I want the airmail envelope to be mounted on the top of here, but not in the typical way. Usually what I would do with an envelope is I would turn it around like this, and I would put it on like this, and then it would flip out like this. I'm not going to do this one that way. I want it to go on like this. I'm going to use this part as a tuck, and I'm going to tuck our little, oops, I got a loose edge there. Our little postcard we just made, or index card that we just made, up under here, like that. And then I'm going to take this onion skin paper, or emerald paper, and tuck it in like that, so that it can be pulled out. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. So I want to glue down this flap to the index card, but I want to make sure that I do it in such a way that you can still see her face. So I think about right there. So what I want to do is flip this up, and I'm going to glue like right in here. So in other words, the index card is going to become part of the tuck, or the flip out. So then it will flip out like this, and you'll have a writing spot here. And then you'll also have access to the envelope here. You'll have your writing paper here. And scoot it down this way. I didn't glue that straight. And I bet I can't get it off now. Oh, come off, come off, come off. Just enough so I can straighten you out. It's gonna tear. That's okay, we'll fix it. I would rather it be straight. Straight. Let's take this out so I can tell. Nope, I'm gonna have to take that all the way up. We'll have to figure out what to put there to fix it, because that'll drive me crazy. What you see here on my channel, if you're new, is for real. You see my boo-boos and everything, because we're keeping it real. So let's take that off. Alright. We're going to try this again. And I actually don't even care that that's torn right there. Not one bit. Okay, that's better. So now it'll flip open just like that. and I wish I would have inked it. Get these two little edges right here. Okay, let's see if I can get some ink on there. I don't want to ink her face, obviously. Ink around the envelope. Okay, and so then our airman paper will go right in here, and it can go up high or down low. I prefer it down low though, because I want, when we put the pocket in, I want that hello sweetheart to show up. Alright, so now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make a big old journaling card to go behind here, because I want something blue. So let's go back and figure out how wide we can make that. So if my page is sitting here, and this is on there, then we can make the journaling card about this wide. You see my measuring? About this wide. About this wide will work. Yep, that's how I operate. Then we're going to cover the back of it with just some tea-dyed paper or whatever I grab first over here. That'll work. A lot of Tim's papers on the back are light enough to write on. This one might be a little too much. My glue is goopy, and it's my fault because when I first came up here this morning it was cold, and I turned on my space heater because we don't have our big heater on, because, you know, we're trying to make it be spring. It's not working, but we're trying. And it made my glue goopy. Okay, so now I'm going to cut around this and round the corners on it, because I want the corners rounded on this one since it's a journal card, and put a tab on it, and then I think we can call this done. I'm not going to put a focal point on this card right now. I probably won't. I don't think it's always necessary to add a collage or focal point to everything. in your journal, because a lot of times the paper speaks for itself, and in this case, round your corners. You said, I'm going to round the corners. In this case, I'm more interested in getting the blue color in there than I am having a big old collage on this particular card. And that also leaves a spot for whoever purchases this journal to be able to create something that they want in their journal. They could add a photograph or whatever to this page. Now we want to tap. Now I have this one that is red, white, and blue. Let's see what that looks like. So, if I have my little make here, let's turn it to the page I might actually put it on. I should have left that other page marked. I wouldn't have to flip through it again. Just two plain ones. I have some stuff. Oh, this might be good. Stuck in here. Okay, so if I was to put it, I need to ink around this. Also need to put, do I need to put a notch in it? I don't really want to put a notch in it though, because it's supposed to look like a letter. It's not going to look like a letter if I put a big old notch in it. Okay, so if this goes here, and our little interactive piece goes here, and the journal card goes here, do I want to do that more like a belly band? I'm going to have to cut down the length of that card. I didn't think about that when I was doing it. Let go. Yeah, I like that that is actually torn right there. Happy mistake. Okay, let's cut the length of that. It's going to come down, need to come down at least an inch. I've got my journals laying everywhere so I can show you those layouts. And of course they're laying right on top of my trimmer. Let's cut it down at least that much. Put that in my scrap bin until I go through and sort it. Ink it again. Alright, so if this is here, and this is here, if I put it over here, it would work as well and probably be a lot easier to get in and out. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Just put it on that side. Or I could put it over here and put it on this side. Let me see where I have. No, I want it over here because I have several things on that other side already. So that's gonna fit. So where'd my little tab go? Put my pen in my glue real quick here. There it is. Nope, I don't like that. So let's make another one. What about with this? No. Oh no, that was horrible. Nope, I need something with red. Nope. Okay. Going to my little scraps here. See what I can find. Nope. Nope. See if I did a thing with that one, it would actually be, nope. That's not it either. Nope. I know. I know. This is actually off that paper. Let's cut one out of that and see what it would look like. Do I want, I think I just want a regular one. I don't think it's wide enough for me to get a whale tail out of. Oh, maybe it is. fold it a little bit more over. Okay, sink around this one. My glue is about empty. I'm going to have to break down and fill it back up. Have glue on my fingers. I just want to stick to my fingers instead of the paper. Okay, so let's glue this down. It's going to glue down like this. And actually, I think I am going to put a notch there. I'm just kind of measuring where I have the tab so I can decide where to put the notch. And I'm going to use the whale tail and use just a part of the little circle and just put a little notch. I think it makes a nice little notch. And I'm gonna ink it. Now we'll glue it down. Yep. I'm gonna have to fill the glue bottle. Okay, I'm going to back it off the seam just a little bit so it won't interfere with page flipping. Get it all nice and smushed down. Okay, and then we're going to put this piece down. And you can see it's going to cover most of the notch, but that's okay. And do I want to be able to remove this? Or do I want it just to flip out? That is the question. No, I think I'm okay with gluing the whole thing down. Even though, actually, I think I'll glue it. I'm going to glue it so that it's a bottom pocket, I think. We don't have a bottom pocket in this one. It's nice and grungy right there. I like it. I'm going to put a piece of glue, a little bit of glue there so that it will, where it was chipping off, it won't break. Alright, so then we can put our paper there, and I think that's going to hold in fine. And then we can put our journal card here. Now, I think I'm going to cut down the width of that just a little bit as well. This is what happens when you don't have a solid idea when you turn the camera on. You just kind of wing it as you go. But it'll all work out in the end. So that'll go there. We've got our paper there. We've got our letter. We've got another piece of paper there, which makes it interesting. This is like you find in old-time photo albums. It's kind of waxy paper. It's thicker than tracing paper, but not quite as thick as wax paper, but it's nice and crinkly. Now, I'm going to put a string in here. I'm going to put a postmark here. Don't want to do anything else. I have a label. I think that label looks actually pretty cool there, but I want to be sure that I'm only gluing it on the top part of the paper so it'll still open up. So I'm going to cut these corners. And put a little ink around it. I'm going to use glue stick on this paper because I'm not sure how our glitter glue will react, and I don't want it to wrinkle it up. I have a number. I think I put that number in there. This is just stuff that I had laying on my desk. I just kind of want to weight that label down. I'm going to ink around this as well. Ink, ink, ink. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Yeah, I was thrilled to death when I found this airmail paper. It was like a whole tablet of it. Isn't it funny how we get excited over the simplest things? Okay, now, put a postmark on that stamp. I think I'm going to do it in potting soil and not black. I don't want it to be so. I think this is the. I really need to clean the stamp. I can't hardly read it. It's so dirty. Yep, that'll work. What else do I have? I think I have a received stamp. No, it says have a registered. Nope. Maybe I'm good just like that. Might put a number or something on there. Oh, I do have this letter parcel. Let's put that on there. Yep. Okay, so that it flips out. You got your paper there. You got a tuck spot there. If you want to put something in there, you can write there. You can write it on the back of your journal card. I do want to put something on there, don't I? Maybe that's where I'll put the received. Let me take it out of here so I can lay it on a flatter surface. Perfect. Perfectly imperfect. string. Were you yelling at me? You said you were going to put string on there. And you can see this has still got a little bit of a bow in it. And I think part of that is because a lot of the glue is still wet. But by the time I shut the book, and if I need to, I can put another book on top of it. It'll be fine. And then I have another invoice, and I think I'm going to put it over here on this page because it ties the red in. So I think that will end up going there once I age it up. And then I probably will try to do something a little bit to this. I have found that the best thing to use for this is to use some either washi tape or use some washi stickers. And that way you're not, you know, trying to stamp it and hope your ink's gonna dry. Paper makes it too heavy if you put anything paper on there. But washi tape seems to work well as washi stickers. So, there we go. There's our ABC April 2025, the letter I. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will be back soon with the I Saw It on Pinterest video for this week. So I hope you guys will join me for that. I have a playlist now for this particular challenge. So if you missed an episode or you want to go back and see a particular video, then check out my playlist, and it says ABC April 2025. I have several playlists on there. I've got all my I Saw It on Pinterest videos in one. Junk Journal Madness is on there, which I'm also participating in, as well as my design team projects for Sweet Pea Curiosities. So if you like to check any of those out, you should be able to find them in my playlist. And until next time, I hope everybody has a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.